Hello everyone. I hope now we conduct شيء. So I hope now everything is great. Let me just share the screen again. Okay. I hope now everything is great and working fine. Um, we fixed the sound issue. Let me know if now everything is working as expected.
Hi everyone.
Okay. Okay, guys, is the sound working? Is everything working as expected? Hello. Is the sound working as expected? Working
Hi
good.
everyone.
Okay, cool. Let's see now. Yes, it's working now. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Let's see now. Okay, cool. Cool, guys. Um, okay. Now my camera is working. Everything is working fine. Okay, great. Okay. So, as we were saying, Lulzim is a lead backend engineer at Suppliflex. He started his career as a psychiatrist, and then he immigrated to the US and started a career in software engineering. So, in today's live, or today's Poky, we're gonna go over his career and how he managed to do all of these things together, so you can ask him question and learn from his experience, etc. So first of all, I would like to thank him for accepting the invite. Thank you, Lulzim. I really appreciate that. um,
Thank you for having me. I really
oh, for
appreciate it
sure.
as well.
For sure. So we're gonna divide our Poke into seven different aspects. First of all, we're gonna start with some introduction and background. Then we're gonna move to the immigration experience and then talk about the tech journey and stuff. Then we're gonna move over to some career growth and experience. So we wrap up all the professional questions. Next up, we're gonna talk about his long distance relationship. So as far as I know, Luzim is married and he has been married since the age of 24, which is a young age for marriage. Now it's been 2 years he's been having a long distance relationship, right?
We've been recently married but been together for quite a long time now.
Okay, great. And then we're going to talk about some future plans and aspirations and some closing thoughts at the end. So shall we start?
I'm all ready.
Okay, let's go. First of all, do you like to introduce yourself to the audience? Let them know
Of
who
course.
you are, what's your background?
Of course, I'd love to. So my name is Lulzim Tafaj, and I usually go by Louis, which is shorter, and most people in real life actually call me that. I'm 26 years old and I graduated in psychology, and I'm currently living in Massachusetts, USA. Even though I am an Albanian immigrant, I'm a permanent resident here right now. And as of right now, I am the lead backend engineer at Suppliflex, where we work on database design and architecture, along with API patterns, closely with Yassine.
Nice to have you there, by the way. So first of all, how did your journey exactly begin with psychology, and what initially drove you to that field?
Okay, so to be completely honest with you, my journey with psychology first started out ever since high school, in the sense that I was a person who was very prone to introspection.
Hmm.
Introspection in the sense that I wanted to be aware of my thought process, to understand how other people feel, function, their behaviors, and why they come as a result. And that is why I chose psychology as a degree. Apart from that, human behavior in general really interests me, especially when it comes to dynamics and ways people differ, basically, and
Hmm.
how we can all get together. It's a very beautiful field, that's for
Yes,
sure. but I have uh, no shade to Grace, but I have two other loves, psychology and programming, basically.
Okay, she must be sad when she sees this. I hope she doesn't, though. She's
No,
gonna.
because she'll have her own part of the panel.
Oh, okay, she will have her own. So she gotta say she has other loves too. So you both
No,
are.
no.
So you are even. You both get mad at each other. So it's 1-to-1. Yeah, I agree. Psychology is a great field, and through my managerial journey and my entrepreneurship journey, as well as my leadership path, I
Hmm.
found that we were just talking about it the day before yesterday. We were talking on the Miro,
Yes.
yeah, when we were
Hmm.
doing the drafting, and then we talked about psychology and how understanding people could help you succeed even as a leader or as a team member. Just we in our day-to-day life we work with people. We all of our interactions are with people, so it is better to have a good understanding of how people think, how people behave, um, be able to interpret what they say in their body language and how do they react to stuff, etc. And that gives you a great advantage. Great. And okay, so you started as a psychiatrist and then you moved to tech. That's a pretty,
Psychologist.
yes.
Psychologist.
So
Yes.
that's a pretty odd transition. Usually people transition from fields that are somehow related to IT, so like finance, I don't know, management, something that has IT in its process. But psychology is more of like, the thinking, the philosophy of stuff. But uh, this is this has been
It's a
odd. So
social science, basically.
yeah,
It's humanities. Yes. So now you're asking me why this transition, why I chose to pursue this
yes.
different field.
What?
Well, as I mentioned before, it's the fact that in Albanian we have an expression which is under nasirtar. Under nasirtar basically means to have a dream in one's nightstand. I don't
Mhm,
know if you have this expression as well, but the idea is that when you have two concurrent dreams to
mhm,
realize, and I pursued psychology at first, but my other dream at the same time was also programming. And apart from you stating that there is not much of a connection when it comes to psychology or humanities in general and programming, I wouldn't say so because when I think about a computer and the programming process in general, I think of it like a child in the pre-operational stage, according to Piaget's development theory,
mhm.
in the sense that a computer needs very direct commands in order to work properly, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
kids in that sort of state, in that stage of development, are still not able to think critically because of egocentrism, centrism in general, lack of conversion, etc. And that is why I think there are many parallels, but it just depends on the point of view.
That's true. I agree. Psychology is related a lot to IT, especially with the structure. So as I
Hmm.
always say in my lectures or other stuff I make or other content I make, I just say that a computer helps you just organize ideas in your head because when you're programming, you give clear instructions with, a specific
Hmm.
order to get executed. And that's how the human brain works. So, you organize ideas, so you make them into life, you prioritize tasks, etc., etc., etc. Um, yeah, so I see how you did that. And how was the process of learning to code and adjusting to a completely new field?
In the sense that how it first started out for me.
Yeah, so how was the process of learning? Then how did you adjust to a completely new field? Because working in psychology is not like working in IT, it's two
Of
different
course not.
fields.
It's very different, actually,
Yeah.
in theory and in practice. Well, actually, what kickstarted my career in psychology was that I got a government-funded scholarship to attend a coding dojo back when I was in Albania. So I
Mm,
was stationed there, and I would follow the boot camp, which specialized in Python with Flask and web fundamentals. But before that, even when I was in high school, I had some exposure to web fundamentals like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I really enjoyed these as well. As I told you, it was a dream that I had kept in my nightstand,
Yeah,
like and I really enjoy programming, but at first it was difficult, especially when we went to the backend engineering section, because web fundamentals are something that can be grasped easily, much more easily than backend programming when it comes to API design and database
schemas.
architecture and
Yeah.
development.
Actually, Justin says that he got accepted into his first college for concentration in psychology.
Really,
Yeah, he did. By the way,
man,
Justin is a front-end engineer at Suppliflex too, so big up for the engineering team at Suppliflex. Uh, they are making this live happen. Great. And like, were there any skills from psychology that surprisingly helped you in your tech career? I already know
um,
the answer of that, but you know.
um, for all intents and purposes, I would say that it does help because there are a lot of transferable skills from psychology to programming, even during the process of programming, but even when you interact with other people, either as, a colleague, a leader, etc., because you learn how to understand other people's perspective
Mm,
and act accordingly and respectfully, of course, because the idea is to get along, but to also get the job done, right? So
exactly.
it's a very good transferable skill to be a mediator when it comes to group dynamics and to understand people in a more profound way.
I
Other
agree.
than that, during the uh, programming process, since I am a backend engineer, it doesn't really give me a boost rather than if I were in the front end engineering team, because there's a lot of theories when it comes to color theory, what attracts people, animations, and the UX design team is also best suited to do that as well because they've built our prototype. But what I mean to say is that the visual appeal is closely linked to psychology as well.
I agree. And what was the decision-making process behind the immigration? Like, immigration from a country to another isn't an easy decision, so there has been some process making underneath it. How did that go, and how did the decision making, or how did you just say, "Hey, I want to just move to the US"? Like, what motivated you? What were your basis to say, "I will be an immigrant"?
This came as a result of the fact that my grandmother has been living in the US ever since 2004, if I'm not mistaken, and she had created the naturalization process for me to become a permanent resident, as well as my family.
Okay.
But the thing is that I came here because I was looking for better opportunities in regard to growth in my career and also to network more. Albania is known for this phenomenon called brain drain. A lot of people my age, your age, and maybe other people who are watching, they tend to immigrate from Albania to other countries because there are not many working opportunities there. Or
hmm
rather, there are not many ways to grow. Even those that are, they sometimes work remotely as well.
Um, it's somehow different
It's a
from
difficult process.
yes, it's somehow different from Morocco. In Morocco, they have like many working opportunities since a lot of multinationals, um, since the geographical position of Morocco, it's like the door
Hmm.
for Africa, for Europe and the
Hmm.
US to Africa. So there are working opportunities, but it's the same. Like if you reach a certain level, it's like it's difficult to simply grow. So people tend to navigate to other countries like Europe, France, Belgium, etc., etc., to find better careers and reach higher goals. Um, Great. And When you navigated to the US, like they certainly were some cultural differences, right?
Certainly. Yes.
How did you manage those?
Well, I've I've completed my high school in English, but ever since then I've been reading a lot of books in English, so language has not been the barrier per se, rather than the lexical fields that I use.
Hmm.
In psycholinguistics, that means that I kind of mix up whenever I'm talking to someone professionally, I might use a term that is not very professional, or otherwise, like a different situation occurs where I am in a casual setting and I use a very professional sounding term.
Hmm.
This is usually even prominent in bilingual children when they're developing. But other than this, when it came to cultural differences, apart from our language barrier, is the fact that us Albanians are very warm as people. We're very friendly in the sense that we really like to help not only each other, but other people who we consider friends and family. We have this tendency to reach out our hand.
Couldn't
And
agree
sometimes,
more.
what was
Couldn't
that?
couldn't agree more.
Thank you. And the thing is that sometimes that can be misunderstood in ways that are not very nice, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I would consider that a barrier that I encountered first when I came here as an immigrant.
And it's not just about the language, but I'm talking also about in terms like of habits, principles, values, especially in the US, because in the US there are many cultures. So if you
Mm-hmm.
just move from one state to another, it's a whole different new world. Like we experience new stuff, new principles, new
That's true.
values, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So at those moments, like were there any moments of cultural shock?
I wouldn't say particularly so. I like to be in touch with many different cultures, and I really appreciate working with different people at the same time. There wasn't much cultural shock in how things are done. The only thing that is different here is the fact that where I'm living right now, everyone sleeps at 9 p.m.
Hmm.
That's maybe the most culturally shocking thing.
And back
Other
at your
than
home,
that, back at my home, Albanians don't really have a set time to sleep.
just like
But it's
here,
usually,
we stay
what was
up
that?
we stay up till 6 a.m., 5 a.m. No problem at all.
Yeah,
You can go out
yeah,
the
right.
street 3 a.m. It's like, daytime.
Right, but I think this is only because of the fact that many people have on-site jobs and they usually have to wake up very early in order to commute. But I've had the luck to work as a remote programmer, which is why I'm not having this sort of issue.
I agree. I agree. And did you face like any challenges or barriers in terms of um like, when you're back at your home country, you have some
Mm-hmm.
friends, some family, relatives next to you. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the environment to grow and to work and stuff. But when you are an immigrant, well, that's a hell of another story because you know, you gotta meet new people, you gotta find new people that have or that shares the same principles and values that you do.
Right.
You gotta, find make your own environment again and again, and that's not an easy process. You know that in psychology, it's not an easy process, but it is important for the growth of the person. So, how did you really manage that?
I try to manage that by leveraging contacts that I had previously had, plus a lot of my extended family already lives here, and I have acquired other friendships. For example, I have an Albanian friend who's introduced me to other friends of hers, and that's how I've gotten to meet new people. But the thing is that when you're an immigrant, you usually tend to stick to your own ethnicity group in the sense that you can't really go out of it because you won't be exactly accepted because you have a different language and different customs. But when you spread out eventually, y- and you understand that some people do give you the benefit of the doubt rather than some others who honestly think very lowly of immigrants. Yeah,
I
it
understand.
has been difficult, but I have been able to establish a very healthy environment when it comes to emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
The only aspect that is missing from me in my life right now is the romantic aspect, only because Grace is still in Albania. Yes, that's the only aspect that I feel like I lack right now at this current moment.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a whole lot more about that later in this interview,
Yeah,
but
right.
let's just stick to the immigration experience for now. Um,
Okay.
and I have one last question regarding this, this part of the interview. How did this move impact your career opportunities and networking? Because when you want to grow in your career, you're going to make a network of people that are probably potential hires that will hire you to their teams or stuff like that. So when moving on to another environment, well, it gets a little bit tricky and spicy to get new networking opportunities. So how did the move impact your career opportunities and networking?
Hmm. I would say that it was impacted rather tremendously due to the fact that it had to sort of start all over, but at the same time, my immigration also led to many more better work opportunities than the ones I had at home.
Mhm,
And other than that, through social networking, I've been able to meet many amazing new people who we share our thoughts, we code, we talk about different things like even philosophical terms, and it really has helped tremendously because back in Albania, there are, as I told you, there are not many developers right now.
mhm,
Albania is suffering from the brain drain phenomenon, where
mhm,
most of the working force that is of age is leaving the country. So once I came here, basically I was exposed to many more working opportunities and many more different people to get to know and get their different perspective and share my own as well. It has been a very enjoyable process. I really enjoy sharing things with other, but in a constructive way. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like I give you something and I learn something back from you. It's not like the idea of quid pro quo. I just mean to
It's
give
like a
things willingly.
cycle. So I give you and you give me, and it goes like that. Yes, I
But
understand.
it's not like it's something that should be considered a rule rather than something that is given willingly, you know? That's the basis of
Spontaneously.
friendship, in my opinion.
Yes. Spontaneously, like um
Right.
you don't require to get back. You just give and forget. We call it give and forget here.
Not necessarily so. I would be giving to someone, but if I saw that that person was not in any way socially invested in our relation, I would not see any point in going further. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not just any benefits out of it, but what this also comes down on a personal level. Like even if you had a friend who you don't really talk too much anymore and you've started to drift away emotionally, it's kind of difficult to make that sort of friendship work
I
because
understand.
either you or the other person might not be giving as much as the other party.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
don't know
understand.
how chat is responding in accordance to my replies. Are there any comments?
Not really. Just Justin, he said about the psychology thing. I think everyone is just listening and following up. Um, okay. And you said you started your tech journey with a coding dojo, right?
Correct.
And that was in backend engineering, especially.
Actually, it was full stack. We did the web fundamentals, which I had a solid grasp, the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but we also used Bootstrap for the front end.
Hmm.
And then for the back end, we used Python with Flask. And then, if I'm not mistaken, MySQL at first. Then we switched to Postgres.
Hmm.
So it was a very traditional stack to start out with. But the only reason why I don't recommend Python to be the first programming language someone learns is because it's
Cut you
very
the
simple and
corners.
What
It
was
cut
that?
it cuts you the corners, so you don't understand like the old
Right,
data
right,
types and all the
right.
bluffing you
It
make.
makes things too easy. It makes
Hmm.
things too easy for you. And then when you're exposed to another language, you're like, okay, how do I figure this out? How do I translate this into Python terms, right?
Yes, but that's for people who are willing to follow up on a tech journey. But for people like they are using, like they want to learn some tech just to get their jobs done easier and automated, I would
Of
really
course.
recommend Python as a primarily
Python,
language. As we do in
yeah.
finance and management, so we automate all of our processes using Python, even in marketing. Cool. And
I, excuse me for the
sorry,
interjection, but I was referring just to people who professionally pursue software engineering,
yeah,
not
I
to
agree.
people who choose to just use it as a supplementary language to their profession.
Totally agree. And well, you said you had like the full stack experience. Why did you exactly choose backend engineering um over all the other like aspects? Uh, actually, sorry to interrupt, but Justin just said that he initially began his coding experience with Python.
That's good
Oh,
to hear. So did I.
so
I'm
that's
not bashing anyone who
okay.
did so.
Okay,
I did
Justin.
the same.
He
It's
just
just that.
he just wanted to tell you, hey, we could start using Python. Don't just bluff at us. No, Justin, he's not saying so. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so yeah, when I just try to explain it like the concepts of programming and coding to new people to the experience, I just start off
Mm-hmm,
with Python as I did with finance students. Because they're not intended to follow up on a tech journey, but it's just
mm-hmm.
for automating their processing and getting things done easier and
Right.
faster. But it will give them like the base concept idea of what is a variable, what is memory, what is so if it is taught correctly, I think Python could be an amazing programming language to start. But the only problem with Python is that it is marketed as just like the basic syntax and like memorizing the syntax, but not um like the fundamentals of problem solving and programming. So if it is taught correctly, I think Python would be a great language to start out, especially after the improvements in the recent versions like 3.16. Was it
Mm-hmm.
3.16? I don't know. I don't keep
I
track
think
of
it
the
was. I
versions.
think it was that actually. Yes, I think it was so.
Yeah, but the later versions are great in terms of speed. The drawback of Python was speed initially, but now on because they use it in AI, so people are more invested into improving Python. So they did an amazing work into improving its performance, improving its speed, and I think it's great right now. But I do agree with you that it is not the best programming language to start with if you're willing to follow up on a tech career. I would recommend starting with C, C++, or other low-level languages so you understand the backbones of how programming works. Okay, cool.
The other thing, if I may add a comment, the other thing
Yeah, sure.
about Python is that it's a very versatile language in the sense that it's used in data engineering, data science, building AI models, like everything runs on Python
I
because
see it.
Python can do everything. But there's also a caveat to this in the sense that if you look up the job market, there are many, many positions that require you to have knowledge of Python, but those positions have like 500 applicants in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So, this is just something to consider for people who aspire to only pursue tech as a career.
yeah.
This advice that I just gave.
I agree. I agree. And what resources were crucial in your learning process? We do know that learning programming, well, it's all over the internet. You can learn programming for free. There is YouTube, there is Udemy, there is
Right,
whatever.
right.
That gets messy. A lot of resources. You're messed up, and you don't know where to start, so you don't start over. But
You know what?
yeah, tell me.
I have compiled a document just for this occasion.
Oh,
I have
really?
actually used. Just for this occasion, I've compiled this document. And at first, I used this because I directed some of my friends who were asking on advice on how to start out as backend engineers, right?
Mhm.
And I added many more resources in order to provide a more complete package in a way for anyone who is listening to the podcast right now.
That's
So I
amazing.
will be thank you. I will be sending you the document right now
Yes, I
on
will share it
Slack so you can
in the
share it.
comments. I will share it in the comments when we finish. I will add it in a
Okay,
pinned comment
perfect.
on the link. So to
Sounds great.
whoever reached this point of the video, if you're watching this in a video, or hello Tech already, if you're watching this on a video or just watching this live, the link will be in the pinned comment down below. Make sure to give it a thumbs up for Louis. Hey, what's up? Cool. And can you share? Okay, this is funny, and this happens to a lot of us. Can you share a memorable aha moment when you felt you had truly grasped back in this year? So, we're like, oh, this is all messy and I don't understand shit. But after sometimes, aha, this
Hmm.
works like that. Oh, I got this.
I think I had a very small eureka moment when I realized what the MVC folder structure was all about with, the models, the views, and the controllers. But the second and the most prominent eureka moment I had is not necessarily only in the aspect of backend engineering, rather than when I first figured out how to properly connect the front with the back end, That
Mm-hmm.
was the eureka moment when I was just starting out at the dojo and I was like, oh my God, yes, I got it. I got the hang of this. And I got that boost, like,
Actually, mine was a bit different because mine was for it in backend 2 with cookies and the refresh tokens. So at first, I was messed up with the what is a refresh? Why do we even need a token in the cookie while we have a token in the local search? That got me messed up. And which one do we use for? Oh, do I use this or do I use this? Which one holds the data? Like it was all messy. And then when I figured it out, I was like, aha, that works like that. So from now on, art is on me. That was a crazy
um,
moment.
if I may ask, how did you reach this? How did you learn it? Like by trial and error, or did you use any resources
I,
to,
I use my
because I'm guessing this is very early on, like in the career as well.
I use my very famous technique of working with you guys, wireframing. I wireframe everything. Everything that I don't get, I just wireframe it, and then boom,
Hmm.
it's right there. Actually, all of my startups, this is the first time I say this in public. All of my startups, both of them, like three of them, started with a wireframe. Both of them.
Right.
Suppliflex started with a simple wireframe that has exactly 300 words. 300 words started Superflex. So there was like the types of users, the general idea, these are the features, and it's got developed in a wireframe. So you got everything like organized in a way, and then it got developed like a tree, and then that's it. So I just have like the organical structured view of all the ideas in my mind. Entitled, we did so. We had a 2 hour-ish stream with me and my co-founder. I do
Hmm.
have the stream recorded on me, just for the record, for the memory.
Hmm.
So we did the same thing. We had a wireframe, and then we had the general idea of the business. Then these are the features we want to include, and it got all messed up with the trees and stuff. And that's why I always tend to do wireframes because I guess it's a horrific way to get
Hmm.
people to understand what you're trying to say. Because if I say just, even loudly, I just, tell it to you, it gets messed up. Like to a certain point, you were with me, but then,
Right.
boom,
And then
you just
it's
got
like voila.
yeah. So if I do like if I have a corresponding tree in the wireframe, you just this is connected to this, and then this is connected to this, and
Hmm.
this lands to this, and then boom, 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 and then we're good to go. So um
Loving this idea actually. I'm gonna integrate this into my workflow as well. the idea of wireframing things that I can't actually figure out at first. Seems like a great approach.
Yeah, wireframing is great. Try it.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Sure. And what projects or experiences helped you build your confidence in yourself? Because I recall from our interview, actually it was a Google Meet too, just like this one.
Yes.
So it reminds you somehow with your interview. What projects or experience helped you build your confidence as a backend engineer?
I think I'm gonna have the same reply as I did back then because I was really proud of that accomplishment where I architected and built a dental clinic management system, which was like an in-house management system where the dental clinic had come up to the company and asked for this custom application in order to book appointments, have billings, have actual printouts of the teeth that had been worked on. And there was a lot of things going on at the same time, like payment integrations, bookings, PDF imagery when it comes to the teeth,
Hmm.
like the molars. And there were different types of services as well, like for example, these things don't really come naturally to me in English because I'm used to talking about the teeth because it's something very specific. But like for the molars, for the canine teeth, for the frontal
Hmm.
teeth, there are different types of services, right?
Yeah.
And it was very challenging, that aspect, as well as seeing it all in a holistic manner, like having billings and then having bookings and then having invoices and then having cancellations and then having PDF um, uh, presentations of the services that the patients got, etc. This was a project that really, really uh, made me proud of myself, honestly.
Amazing, amazing. And talking about challenges and that kind of thing, you're from a non-CS background, right? And yet you're
Right.
working in tech. How did you land your first job as a backend engineer?
Well, I landed my first job as a backend. Actually, my first job was like as a full stack developer, but backend engineering was the most prominent aspect of it. In Albania, there's not many companies that are working in this field. There are some companies that are working for digital marketing or others similar industries like finances, banking, etc. And the thing is that many things go word of mouth.
Mm-hmm,
I know someone who knows about a place that is looking for a full stack developer who uses so and so, right?
mm-hmm,
And then after some trials and errors, because employers tend to be skeptical to juniors, I was able to land the role. And if I may also supplement this answer with how the interview process went, first it was like a behavioral interview in the sense that they got an idea of who I was as a person, my interests, my background, where I see myself 10 years from now. And then the second was the technical, where I had to first recreate a landing page of one of the pages of that company that
mm-hmm,
they had created for a client of them.
mm-hmm,
And then the second part of the challenge was creating something akin to an ORM, right?
mm-hmm.
So like an object relational mapper.
Yeah,
They
I
wanted
see.
me to recreate that sort of thing in order to get in, and I found it very challenging, but I did it, and that's how I landed my first role.
That's great. Just to answer your question, Tekordi, did you wireframe a website or just notes by hand? No, when I say wireframing, it's just breaking down stuff into like a mapping, like a mind, kind of a mind map, but it has more data in it. Not just like wireframes in what we call Figma. Cool. And okay, now I'm not here. What was the interview process with me like? I'm,
Worlds apart, because
I'm not even here. I'm gonna hide. Bye. Okay, tell them I'm not here. I'm not here.
No,
I was
honestly,
here.
like it was much more lax and enjoyable, but still it was professional and it was challenging enough in the sense that I really got something out of the interview. While most other companies I've worked with and some clients I have worked for as a freelancer are very rigid in the way that they want things to be done or things to be structured in a way, right?
Hmm.
They don't really have a very flexible approach to things.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed the interview process that we went through together. Like, even the second part that I didn't get exactly right, I really enjoyed it because you even like had the tendency to walk me through with it and for me to understand it properly how it was. And I really appreciated when you walked me through with a solution, even
Yeah,
though I
sure.
couldn't find it at first.
Sure.
Not
Um,
many people would do that, is what I'm trying to say. Some people would be like, just, okay, bye.
I no, it doesn't work like that. I just see it as an opportunity to learn and stuff. Even if I don't like hire someone, I would give them the opportunity to, take time in interviews and, just walk them through solutions and let them know where they lacked, etc. And talking about our interview, we had a little problem before getting into the interview. The mismatching between the
Oh
emails.
my God. Should we really talk about this on public record?
I don't hide anything from the public. It's okay. It's all right.
Okay, so should I talk about this or should you talk about this? What do
However
you
you
think?
like. Whatever
Whose
you like.
perspective should be heard first so we reach a verdict?
Whatever you like. You want to talk first? You want me to talk first? Whatever you like.
I can share my experience first, if you don't mind, or if you want to share your experience, we
No,
can do it
sure.
either way. I
Sure,
don't
go
mind.
ahead. Sure, go ahead. You first. You go first.
So, if I'm not mistaken, the day that we had scheduled the first interview together,
Mm-hmm.
it was like around Christmas time, and it was about 2 or 3 days before my birthday. And I was going through a very hard time with all of these applications where I saw that I wasn't really valued for what I brought to the table. And suffice to say, uh, because I don't want to go into verbatim with what I replied to Yassine after he missed the interview, was that I expressed a lot of frustration, but it wasn't actually directly pointed towards him, rather than the fact that the market right now is very
Yeah, I know.
um I wouldn't say that it contains a lot of animosity, but rather in the fact that
It's like a
candidates are
forest.
only seen as resumes, or like
Yeah,
like
yes.
some sentences, some qualifications. I don't like this, go. And that is why we had that sort of clash at first, but I was a bit too hasty when it came to my comments,
No,
which
it's
I
alright.
don't want to talk about in public because
No, it's alright. So, in simple
because
terms,
it doesn't do you any favors in the sense that it doesn't align with who you are at all. It was all a misunderstanding.
yeah, it's all right. So at first, we scheduled the meeting, and then actually the email where I was talking to him was shared between two people, me and my co-founder.
Hmm.
And then the problem was that my co-founder was seeing the emails, and then they appear as seen. So automatically, with a lot of candidates and that big amount of emails, I say that I reply to this email, right? And then the problem
Hmm.
was that I didn't, and then we had an interview scheduled and I didn't know. So we missed the first. And then I reached out to him and apologized, and then we scheduled the second, and it happened for the second time. So when it happened for the second time, I'm not sure. My camera lags, I guess. Right? My
Just
camera
a bit.
lags. Okay.
I think it's good now.
Okay, now is it better? It lags? Hello. Lags now? It's good now? All right, it's good. It happened for the second time, and then um like he thought that I wasn't like taking the interview too seriously, and then he replied with an email. This live is just in YouTube. Yes, it's just in YouTube. Look, I'm not doing this for like money or stuff. I just have an activity with my colleagues from my university, and then I was doing like a tech course, some tech courses that you can find in the Python series, and we're just doing this live stream so people can share their experiences, especially people that are closest to me. So I tend to have them here, and they can share their experience and tell their advices to other people, to younger people. So when they face the market, the job market, when they face challenges and the stuff, they have some perspective about this. So I was saying he thought that we weren't taking the interview too seriously, and it was Christmas, and it was a bit hectic. And I replied with an email, and then I apologized again, and we scheduled the third interview, but I made sure that I attended that one. And then later on, even through all of these guys, I am what do they call it? I am truthful. If someone deserves it, he deserves it. If he doesn't, well, he doesn't. You say good words, you don't say good words, I don't care. You know how to do the job, you get accepted. You don't know how to do the job, I'm sorry, but there is no place for you in here. So even after all of these clashes, like we were in a rap game, he got accepted, and he joined the firm, and then now he's working with me, and we're making a great team. We both work on the backend stuff of Suppliflex, and this is life. You know what I
We
mean?
vibe.
Yeah, we
I
vibe
mean, we
together.
vibe also.
We
It
have
was all a misunderstanding.
yeah
It was just a misunderstanding.
we have longer meetings. We tend to talk more about personal life, even though like sorry even though like we had this some kind of trouble at first, but he deserves the job. He got it, and we vibed together, and he was not the person I thought he was at first, and I was not the person he thought I was at first, and then it all changed together. So please guys, don't just um don't make pictures about people before you know them. So don't judge them by just their appearance. Get to know them, and then decide if that people is worth it or not. Sometimes we just judge people by their appearances, but they're exactly the opposite of their appearance. Everyone has its own style. Maybe it reflects his personality, maybe it's not. So don't judge, as we say, don't judge the book by its cover. And talking about books, we just got a copy from this book. It's Monsef Bulkhiat's book. Um, we just received this yesterday in his conference. I really would like to thank him. It's a personalized copy. It's a signed copy about his
Oh, I deserve.
entrepreneurship. Yes, thank you. It's about his entrepreneurship journey. Would really like to thank him and ESSEC Business School for the invite. It's a really great book, guys, if you wanna read it. So, don't judge the book by its cover. Make sure to read the book first, and then at least the few first pages. If you don't want to waste time, at least the first two pages, and then decide if you want to go on with the book or just stop right there and change your highway and take another. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Sorry, but since all the
Sure.
cards are on the table right now, I sincerely want to ask you, with the reply that I sent you, what did you think of me at first? Like,
Okay,
no filters, no censorship, nothing. Just tell me the truth and tell me how that was in opposition to what I actually provide to Simpliflex. Like, how different were
It
these
wasn't
two?
an opposition at all. I understood your position. I didn't judge. If I did, I wouldn't reply to the email, and I wouldn't invite you to the interview, and that goes on. I have a lot of other candidates I can interview. I would say so, but no, that's not me. I gotta give the same chance to all of the people, and that's the single reason I don't use ATS. I have the best ATSs in the world, and um I don't really use them for a single reason because they discriminate people based on their resumes. Sometimes if you just put like a resume from Canva, it gets pasted as an image, and that doesn't go
Hmm.
through some ATSs. So you're before it reads it, you're done with the mission. So I don't use ATSs. I review resumes myself. I conduct the interviews myself. I don't let someone else conduct interviews for me. So I tend to give the same chances to all of the people, see what they have, and go on with them. And then I give even chances. So I didn't take like any offense with the email since you were right somehow, even though it was a mistake. Like it wasn't like it wasn't intentional, but say
Right.
it's a company's mistake. I agree. I agree. It's a company's mistake. You scheduled an interview, you expect someone to be there, but no one is there. So it's a company's mistake. I understand. But since it wasn't like intentional, I apologize, which is the thing I should do, obviously. And then it all
And so
went
did
through,
I
and
in
that's
return.
yeah, exactly. And that's not a problem at all. So people should get guys. Don't overcomplicate life. Just vibe with it. Just flow. Not a
Just,
problem at all.
yeah, live freely, right?
Yeah, live
Like
freely.
try to
Don't
have as smaller weight on your shoulders as possible, right?
exactly. Don't overcomplicate it. Okay, cool. And what technologies and frameworks do you use on your day-to-day work at Suppliflex?
At Suppliflex, we're using Node.js with Express as the server. We're using MongoDB for the database design and the schemas. We're going to work on the APIs. We're going to use middleware such as Morgan and JSON Web Token for the authentication.
Hmm.
As for the front end team, I believe they're using Next right now with React. And I'm not sure what supplementary library they're using, ShadCN or Tailwind CSS.
There is Intelligent CSS and design as a design library.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That sounds
Hmm.
amazing. But us at the backend, we're just using these right now. And honestly, it's a very reliable stack in the sense that it runs fast and it gets the work done. It's not difficult, but at the same time, you have to consider the impact of the changes from a point X will have on point Y.
Yeah,
But it's still a
exactly.
very good stack to work with.
Exactly. And how do you approach problem solving when facing complex backend challenges like we did have with the database?
Okay, I go about it like this. I turn this monolithic problem into bite-sized smaller issues, and then I try to tackle them from least difficult to the most difficult, right? So we have this hierarchy where I go from the most for the least complex problem of the monolithic issue, going then further up into the hierarchy until I resolve it all completely.
Hmm.
So what I try to do whenever I'm faced with an issue is I try to understand, okay, what is at play here? And then I identify little elements that can be basically uh, broken down into smaller blocks to solve. So then there is this linear hierarchical approach to problem solving.
Hmm.
Do
Cool.
you agree with this? What do you
Some
think?
somehow I would go back to the wireframing. We did. Um, Actually, he did a great approach. We were working on a database, and then what he did is just he took notes of each module. So we separated the work into modules, and then he took some notes, like the fields he could recognize for each module in the graphics we were shown, and then he just assembled all the data together and made models based of it, and then later on we decided on the connection between all the stuff together, and then it all worked out itself really. So guys, as I said, always don't overcomplicate stuff. It's all gonna work
Mhm.
somehow. Or if you overcomplicate stuff, you're gonna get messy and fluffy, and you're gonna end up. And even though,
Spaghetti code.
yeah, and guys, just take it easy, and take it easy in limits, because if you go over the limits, you're not gonna get the job done as well, and that gets another problem in your way. But doesn't matter. Okay, cool. And I have one other question. I asked you in the interview, and I always ask in interviews, how do you stay updated with the latest backend technologies and industry trends?
I actually integrated what you recommended me at first at the first interview we had, Daily Dev,
Hmm.
and I've been using it a lot. Other than that, it's still Y Combinator, HackerRank, TechCrunch, and I'm a lot on LinkedIn as well, so I do see news related to technologies, but these are the major ones that I try to stay in tune with
I'm sorry.
recent trends and changes in technology, right?
Hmm. I agree. And guys, this is not a sponsorship. This is not a sponsor
No,
or a
it's not
paid
a sponsorship.
advertisement or anything. Daily.dev is a great, amazing extension to have if you're looking to go into software engineering. They bring a lot of great features for free. You don't have to pay a cent. You just select the topics you're involved into, like AI, Python. You can select even by language, and then they just give you the recent trends, blogs, YouTube videos, everything just just right in front of you, and you just have um to just read it. And they have a lot of great features of saving and upvoting, so you know what content is great and what's not, and etc. etc. Rather than scrubbing Medium feeds and YouTube feeds and all that other websites of newsletters and stuff. Just have everything you know um scrambled into a single place. Okay, amazing. And that wraps up our fourth part of the growth and experience. Now, we'll move on to drums, the long distance relationship. Okay, this is the juicy part. I hope Grace doesn't see this or I'm gonna go to jail somehow. Either jail or grave.
Absolutely not. No, 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 no,
Either a jail or a grave. Now, Monday she's gonna roast me. I'm pretty sure.
no. Absolutely not. Just go ahead and we'll see how it goes from here.
Okay. So first, we would start with the easiest question every dating show, every show would ask you about your relationship. How did you two meet? And how did your okay, let's start with how did you two meet first.
As many young couples tend to do, we met through social media. We
Okay.
realized that we shared many things in common, such as our passion for reading, uh, movies, also, and we really found each other's worlds to be very rich and profound. And we started to date, and we've been together for many years now, and but it all
Thanks,
started
Mario.
from this simple, from imagine just this, from a simple message on a social media, it resulted into this amazing, fulfilling marriage many years later. Like it's like the butterfly effect, this small thing that led to this huge thing, right?
Hmm. I agree. Sorry, I'm just talking in Arabic to some chat. دراري اللي كيقولوا السوشيال ميديا ما تقدرش تزوج منها ولا بحال دابا كاين واحد الجروبات ديال لي مارياج وهذا او السيد يتزوج منها او لقى مراتو المهم we'll follow up with the story so نعرف واش نطرا but you know I was just saying who said that social media could lead you into a marriage because in Morocco we had this idea. We had Facebook groups where just people post what they are looking into in their in their partner, future partner, etc.,
Right.
etc. And then people are just roasting the idea, like telling just childs that gets married from Facebook and from social media, etc., 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 blah 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 blah. But I didn't think so. I didn't know the story first. You haven't told me the story before, but this is a proof that maybe social media sometimes could work for getting to know people, since it's a way of getting to know people, like it or not. It's a way of social connecting, and then things can develop over time. In the real life, not in the the digital life.
But the thing is that it's not like we went in with the intention of dating. It wasn't like a social media like Tinder, you know? It
Yeah,
was
I
just a common social media where it first started out with these long conversations about our common interests. And then we were like, hey, we should meet up with each other. It wasn't like it was immediately because of that. We just had that chemistry that led to our romance, right?
mhm.
It's not that we went to a specific website in order to seek someone else in that sense.
No,
It
it's the
just
same
happened.
thing. It's the same thing. It's just a Facebook group. I actually had the same idea where um I met a friend of mine through
Hmm.
it was a group of tech enthusiasts, and we were just talking and stuff, and I met a friend which tends to have the same like ideas with me, and
Hmm.
so we were like vibing together and working together and participating into competitions, etc., etc. And then later on we met up, and now we're still good friends, you know. We still have that
Right.
really good bond between us. We look for each other sometimes, and it's great. Sometimes social media can be a great way to meet new people. Okay, amazing. And how did your relationship develop over time? Like it started. Okay, let's start from where it started with a message. How did it develop into a marriage? You know, the timeline.
Well, the timeline went something like this. At first, we were like, hey, let's meet up, and we would have a coffee every once a week or so, and then that one day of the week became two, and then it became three, four, five, six, and then seven. So that was like a very linear progress in the mathematical sense, but um, what I want to say is that it grew very organically. Like we were just like, "Hey, we should meet up tomorrow," and she was like, "Yay, let's meet up tomorrow." And then feelings developed between us. We already had that romantic spark, but we hadn't. None of us had taken the first step, and then we solidified our relationship. And we we do have many things in common, many interests, and we share many things in life regarding vision and what we want for the future for both of us. And we do also care for each other a lot and make time for each other because it's very important to make make time for your significant other, especially when you're long term. Because if you live together, like if she was here with me right now, if I was there with her, um, we wouldn't be having this sort of distance,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's kind of
Which
sad.
makes things a bit difficult,
Do you want
and it's
me?
saddening.
Do you want me to make a sad music here? Okay, let
No, no, I hate being melodramatic.
Allahu Akbar. Uh,
What was that?
okay. It was a music I made by mistake. Okay, now I'm putting very sad music. Okay, let me just turn it a little bit down so you get heard. Okay, and who made the first step?
I did.
You did. Okay, and how do you navigate the challenges of a long distance marriage? Sounds sad because there is a sad music, you know.
uh, it feels like I'm on reality TV right now.
Dubai plane.
Like like in Albania, Big Brother is a big deal, and I feel like I'm being like that right now. um, ba- Basically, we both strive to make time for each other during the day, even though our time zones conflict.
Hmm.
It's actually similar to the time difference with the US and Morocco. But the thing is that she also has that other job, and I have my two jobs. And the most important thing right now is to make time for each other, like to just talk about different things, like how our days went, care for each other, watch a movie together, even though it's like a virtual date. I still think it's important to still hold on to this custom even though it's long distance.
Hmm.
It's like it's a way to still feel that connection, even though it's not like I don't feel that connection. It's just that I just miss her, man.
I get it. I get it.
It's a very simple explanation.
I get it. And what strategies and tools do you use to maintain a long distance relationship?
Um, well, we do a lot of video calling. We watch a lot of movies together. We discuss certain topics. We talk about our day. Usually, when I wake up in the morning, her day is kind of like it's like noon, midday, something like that. So she keeps me updated. We look after each other. We take care of each other in that sense. We also own these two beautiful cats back in Albania, so Grace is taking care of them right now.
Hmm.
One
Great.
is a ginger cat, one is a tuxedo cat, and we love our cats, man,
I
as well.
don't I
We
don't
treat
really
them like our
know the kinds
children.
of cats. I don't really know like the kinds of cats, but I got the idea. Cool. And have there been any moments where you felt like it was very difficult to, make a work like balancing your career and personal life felt like difficult?
In a romantic sense or in a more general sense?
Both. Just a mix of the two.
I would say that there are times when I have needed to make a compromise. Of course, like um, Grace and I have talked it over because we might have had conflicting timelines. Or other than that, in general, I might have, for example, skipped my exercising routine because I've had to work on something which was a hot fix, practically speaking, for all intents and purposes. But other than that, I think these are just some small compromises that everyone needs to make once in a while in order to make sure things run smoothly. But this shouldn't come uh, down into the fact that it disrupts your life
Hmm.
all completely, you know? So this should be the outlier, not the rule, basically, the exception.
I agree. And what advice would you give to couples just getting into relationships or managing long distance relationships while pursuing demanding careers?
Uh, hmm. Try to
Horrific
make time
questions.
to talk. Try to make time to talk on the phone. Why I say this is important? Because not only on the phone but even on video camera, it's important to make time to talk in that sort of media because sometimes text can be misunderstood, or sometimes we get all caught up in the work and we forget to reply to each other, although that's not usually the case. But try to make time for your partner as well, because it's a long distance relationship, and without equal effort from both parties, it's not bound to work out, right?
Hmm. I agree.
So my recommendation would be for everyone who has a long distance relationship and demanding life when it comes to jobs, like careers. I would say to try and reserve time of the day just so you can like get in touch with your partner, talk about things, do something together like a common activity, share your thoughts, or talk about your personal interests. It's
Hmm.
very important to do so because basically your partner is the closest person you are to emotionally, right?
I agree. I agree. And looking back, uh, like at your earlier life, do you ever see yourself um like combining psychology and tech in any way?
I see myself doing it right now in the sense that I'm using a lot of things that I have used in my degree in psychology, also in my tech career. You know,
Hmm.
like people mediation, understanding patterns, what the customer must want, what might they not like, etc. So there are many things and
Hmm.
facets that are included in psychology, which I already integrate into my tech career, which is why I'm going to repeat what I said earlier in our podcast that despite seeming that different, psychology and programming do have a lot of interlap in between them, right?
Yes, exactly. And like if you could if you could give an advice to younger people at the start of their career transition, what would you say to them as a priceless piece of advice?
Value yourself. Value yourself for who you are. Never underestimate your efforts, never underestimate your intelligence, never underestimate your work. Value yourself. Always, always stand up for what you think is right and never compromise your self integrity
Hmm.
because it's very important to not lose yourself in the process of transitioning careers, right?
Yes, I agree.
And there are many ways where when you first start over in a different career path, you're very demoralized because you feel like you're not good enough in comparison to other. This is not like a self-esteem issue. I'm talking more about the fact that you feel like you can't catch up, but then again, you can with hard work and dedication and passion in your heart. You can
Hmm.
never underestimate your own worth. Value yourself and keep moving forward.
Okay, that's a great piece of advice, I would say, as a someone who went through career transition. And what personal values or philosophies do guide you in a professional way and also a personal life?
I would say that two specific quotes come to mind. I will be rephrasing this because it's a quote by Lao Tse, I believe. He wrote the Tai Ching, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Taoist philosophy book. The 1,000-mile journey starts with only a single step. This
Hmm.
is the first line I use in my philosophy in life. And the second wife, and the second line is from the more discreet source, which is like a light novel from an anime. I use this as a motto or also like a mantra, I'd say. Can fear your own world. What I get from this quote is something very personal to me in the sense that if this is your world, there's no reason for you to fear it because the world is yours. You just have to take the step and be brave about everything you do.
Hmm.
What do you
Right.
think?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And that the first quote was, "It's what keeps me always motivated." And you've lived with me in terms of managing Suppliflex and all the challenges that comes into
Hmm.
your way in terms of finances, in terms of investment and all that stuff and processes that makes your life harder, especially at an early stage where you're building your prototype and stuff. And I just remind myself that even the biggest, like the biggest companies started, at some point they started with small steps. Like they started with a small office, they started with few employees, they started with, a small
Exactly.
circle, and then they growed and growed and growed. And then I just have to make small steps every day, just reach out to people every day,
Exactly.
just work on what I'm doing every day, and then somehow it will all be figured out. And I recall that you talked to me earlier and you told me you are always positive about stuff. You always say that, things will happen.
Yeah.
And the only thing that makes me that positive about what I'm doing is this quote: if you work hard enough, you'll never get disappointed. And by working hard enough, I'm not talking about making big steps, because making big steps takes motivation, and motivation is not always something we have. Sometimes we feel down, and that's normal. We are humans. Sometimes we don't just have the energy. Sometimes we have personal problems, it gets messy. So if you just make small steps across, your life, and you try to make it better, day by day by day by day, somehow it just figures its own way. So you just gotta keep working and keep doing your own thing, and just relying on resilience, having the perseverance to do things, and it will all figure out itself somehow. So that's one of the best advices I've ever got. Dick Ordy shared another quote. He said, "Stay hard" by Day Goggins. Is it Day Goggins or okay, David Goggins.
What was that? Stay hard?
Stay hard.
Stay hard. Okay.
Yes, he said stay hard. I don't know what you mean exactly by stay hard. If you could clarify more, that would be awesome. What do you mean by exactly by stay hard? Because it can have a lot of meanings. Okay, moving forward till take or the replies. Did you have something to say?
I just wanted to encourage other participants if they'd be willing to share other quotes that they find inspiring for their life philosophy. And also, I wanted to mention one last one for my own self. If you have to ask, you will never know. But if you know, you will only need to ask. It's more like a riddle than anything, right? I won't go into details about what it means, but just something to think about.
Yes, we know take or the that it is a quote, but what do you mean by stay hard? Like stay hard in terms of what? Like stay like I think
Be
you mean
consistent
yes. I
or
think
be
he's
more
talking about
confident.
yes, consistency and perseverance. I guess is that so? Okay. Moving on till he replies. What misconceptions do people often have about switching careers or starting over?
The fact that they have to start out with a blank slate. I don't believe in the blank slate idea that when you switch careers, you start basically from zero. Why I say that is because everyone, every human being in this world has transferable skills which can be utilized in the new career path that they choose to follow.
Mhm,
So I don't really believe in the idea that if you switch careers, you basically have nothing to offer in the sense that of course, you have to learn everything from the beginning when it comes to theory and practice, but there are other skills as well, soft skills or analytical thinking, which can be utilized for you to be successful in your new career path.
mhm. He said that he was talking about discipline, so it's the exact same thing what we said earlier. Okay, cool. And
Right.
okay, so now we'll wrap up the personal growth and reflections part, and we'll move on to future plans and aspirations. So my first question would be, in a professional manner, what are your future goals as a software engineer? Like, do you see yourself specializing further or exploring other areas?
I would say that I have this ambition always not to switch roles rather than to grow in a horizontal manner. What I mean by this is that I'd really like to explore other areas related to technology, such as cloud computing more. I've, of course, use AWS a lot, and this is not a sponsorship. Again, I just really enjoy using AWS, but I'd like to get a more theoretical and practical grasp in cloud computing and also in cybersecurity. I find that area very, very interesting. Uh, we also have the AI trend, which is continuously booming and booming and booming, but there's still so little time at the same time
Mhm.
in order to explore all of these different areas of interest, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Justin has a question. He said, "Do you think that switching career paths is derived from disparity in compensation between fields? It was definitely a factor for me, but more so because I wanted a more creative outlet career." What do you think about that?
Why people make changes in their careers?
He said that, do you think that why people make changes in their careers is because of the disparity in compensation between the fields, like, the difference between the compensations of different fields, or because for him it was a factor for him, but also he wanted a more creative career, so it was both of it.
For me personally speaking, I'd say, as I also mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, is that this was not exactly a career change rather than a change of dream materialization because I had both psychology and programming as dreams of mine in my drawer. And apart from this, also, what encouraged me to change into technology, professionally speaking, is the fact that as long as you have sheer motivation, you have discipline to work, you wish to grow more and more as a person, you can always make it. You don't even need a formal education in the sense that you don't need to have a master of science to become a software developer, right?
Mhm,
Of course, it helps, but you don't necessarily need to have formal education in that regard. Plus, another thing is that psychology as a field has a lot of different requirements when it comes to being licensed to practice as one. So they are very different from here and Albania.
mhm.
I hope that answers Justin's question. Let me know if he says anything in reply.
He said, but specifically in regards to your experience.
I just this is exactly what I talked about, my personal
Mhm.
experience.
That was his own reply. I know, but you asked for the reply, so I just, told you
No,
to.
no. I thought if he replied again in the sense that if he had any follow-up questions.
Oh, no. If he does, I would let you know.
Okay,
Good points were made. Good points were made. Okay, he said good points were made, so he agrees somehow with you.
we can
Great.
always talk more, Justin, because I really enjoy our conversations that we have on Slack. Always.
Yeah, Justin just makes very good, just a bit delayed. Yes. Uh, um, So he makes really good conversations in terms of, topics, and even like professional related topics. One time you brought up the TypeScript new update with the Golang
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
compiler instead of the traditional one. And it was a very great discussion because he mentioned other resources we found useful to understand more the topic and stuff. Amazing. Oh, Suppliflex seems always the best. Big shout out.
It
Big
is.
claps. Great. And how do you envision Grace? This is for you. This question is specifically made for you. How do you envision your relationship with Grace evolving in the future? Do you have any plans to reunite in the same country soon enough? Or
No, it's just a
are you
waiting game at this
enjoying your
point.
are you enjoying your, being lonely and stuff, if you know what I mean?
Let's see about that on Monday.
I told you I'm either going to grave or I'm going straight to jail. One of them.
Honestly, uh, it's sometimes it's actually so difficult. We just end up counting the days when it comes to our, being reunited here in the US, especially when it comes to the immigration wait time. It's quite considerable. So yeah, but
Mhm.
I literally can't wait to reunite with Grace.
Okay, amazing. He slipped, Grace. I'm sorry. Uh,
No cap.
yeah. Would you consider mentoring others who are looking for a transition into tech or move abroad?
Absolutely. I've actually been helping three of my friends who I've networked with lately. I've been walking them through the do's and don'ts of starting out as a professional software engineer, what
Hmm.
went wrong with my own path, and what they could improve instead of what I did. Because later on, I understood that, hey, I made this mistake. I branded myself like this, or maybe I didn't value myself enough in this position. That's why I didn't apply. And I do really enjoy helping out people, especially when they first start out, because the job market right now is very tough. And I just like to share my experience to make it easier to others to learn more efficient ways to navigate in the job market right now.
And that's the point from this sort of panels. I couldn't agree more. Tech already has a question. Did you consider that if you become the CEO of a startup and it grows quickly, you may need investments? In that case, would you choose a loan or investors? Oh, is this question for me or for him?
I
And
think
if you
it's more for you.
and if you choose investors, do you think you might lose some control over your company, having to consider other advice or ideas similar to how Steve Jobs was fired from Apple? Is this question for me or for him? Because I see this is a more entrepreneurship like question. Uh, can you reply to Ordy? Is this question for me or for him?
Should we both answer?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. I'll go first. I am not actually a CEO, and I am not really interested in being a CEO. Um, I am a co-founder though of two startups, as I said earlier. I co-founded them, and I am working on more and more startups coming along the way. We're building a holding group, so stay updated and you know stay on the loop. Both of us. Okay.
Okay.
But I am a co-founder, and I take the role of getting investments and driving for investment. It's not just a CEO's role. Um, so in in startups, sure, you do need investments to get them ready, especially if you're looking for an innovation. Especially startups have tech innovations. If you're not just building like a simple SaaS that would go online for a very cheap price, like you wouldn't have to pay a lot for, you know, um, like costs and stuff, you wouldn't need an investment. But otherwise, in general cases, you do need an investment. So in this case, I always choose investors over loans, because actually, this is a really good question. This is a very good, amazing question. Uh, since a lot of of founders struggle with this. Um, so if you take a loan, you have the obligation to return it. Now, here's the problem. Your startup might work or might not work. This is entrepreneur, okay? Even though you did a great market research, you have an amazing product, the market is there, it may work, it may not. This is entrepreneurship. You may struggle with stuff. I don't know. It can work, it cannot. So let's say it didn't work, okay? And then you have the obligation to return the loan. How would you do that? Now, in the US and fast growing countries, then that's not going to be a big problem. But in other countries like Morocco, Albania, I guess, it's harder to pay back the loan, okay? So I wouldn't go for a loan because that could lead me to jail. I would go for the safer way, which is investors. Now, this is from a financial perspective. There is another perspective in investors. Now, when an investor comes in, uh, it has a lot of other benefits other than financials. Okay, so when an investor comes in into your company, he has first of all experience. Okay, he has experience with other startups. He could give you the best pieces of advice you've ever had. That's first. Also, he could be a mentor. Could mentor you into specific leadership questions, market entry strategies, etc., etc. Because he has worked in other companies, he has experience, he knows the market. Okay. Other than that, he brings in, which is the most important thing, he brings in a portfolio. Okay. Now, when you're starting a startup, it's hard to get your first client. Once you do that, then boom, your startup is fast growing. Okay. But getting your first client is tricky. Okay. Now, if you're a child, as we say, of the market, you know the ins and outs, then you already have clients in mind that could buy your product. But let's say Suppliflex as an example. I am not a supply chain professional and I don't have anything to do with supply chain. My specialty is finance and software engineering. That's it, entrepreneurship. That's it. But I'm building a holding group that transitions infrastructures into digitalized infrastructure, especially for Morocco and fast growing, countries. Okay. So now getting my first client would be harder. Okay, because I'm not a player of the market. I don't know all the people. And also educating the market is hard and will cost me money because people use papers, use traditional ways to manage stuff, and it's hard to convince them to pay for a product, even though it's optimized, it's cost effective, etc., etc. Blah 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 blah. We know that, but convincing them is another story. Now, there are client acquisition agencies that could help you with that, but you would lack credibility. And what do I mean by credibility is the name of you in the market. Now, when you go on the market with an investor that has your back, you say, I am from that investor. Now, when you say I am from that investor, you are not talking by your own credibility, but you're using his own credibility. So when you're negotiating with a potential client, he is referring or building the trust or using the trust in getting you the contract by your investor and not you. And by time you build your own credibility. Now, when you're alone, a lone wolf, that's a bit tricky because you don't have a credibility behind you supporting you in getting clients. So you would have to make your name in the market the hard way. And what I mean by the hard way, giving a lot of free accounts, spending a lot of money on marketing, on client acquisition, etc., etc. And it's not a bad idea, but it just you know it would take more time to accomplish than having an investor. Now, to answer your other question, if you might lose some control over the company, are you afraid of that? No, because when you take investments, you are calculating the margin of the company that would last for you. That would, you would so in all of my investment or rounds of investments and funding rounds, I do calculations that this amount would stay away from investors. This is ours, so we keep track of the company, we keep control of our company. Okay, so there is no way an investor could fire me or could fire any of the co-founders. All right, and there is a quote I read in the book I just showed you earlier. I went just over some pages because I just got it, but I read a quote: "Being a co-founder of a big company is better than being having a small share in a big company is better than having a very big share in a small company." And that hits hard. Why? Because when you have even a small share in a big company, the revenue you're making is much more than you would be making in a small company. And that's the reason I am striving for a holding group because it will give me more flexibility in getting investments and working. Now, here's the thing. I am the kind of person that I don't really agree with how other companies work. I have my own way of work. And it's hard to get other managers. Oh, Lizzie is laughing because he knows how I work. I'm not the kind of person that believes in organigrams and structured way, etc. I believe in hierarchy. Yes, hierarchy is a good way of managing things. I don't say no, but I have my own special way. And that gets me results faster and more efficient. What is my way of managing? Simple. No C level, no employee level. Everyone is the same level. The client is the boss. The company is a single line, a production. We discuss together, we work together to produce a vendable product to the client. Now the client is the boss. Okay, we'll listen to the client, we give him what he wants, and we work together. There is no sealer. Yes, I hold a managing position. I manage things, I supervise things. When there is a dispute, when there is a problem, when people needs guidance, I am here. Okay, stop. Let's get this through. Okay, what's the problem? There. We solve it. Boom, it's solved, and then we continue work. That happens all the time. It's okay. Holding group in which field? Supply chain. Well, it's a holding group in tech in general. I'm not focusing on just supply chain. Supply chain is just my first startup. I am striving for more, and it will be great. Trust me. Keep posted. We would go for other fields. So it's really hard to get managers to treat people well. And actually, all the people I worked with say the same way about me. They really enjoy working about me, and we do have great time. I don't enforce rules. I don't in Suppliflex we don't have rules. We have a wiki that doesn't say rules. We have principles. We have values. We don't have rules. Our code of conduct is just made by principles and values. There is no rules. Don't do this. Do this. I'm not your command officer. I'm your colleague. So there are principles and values everyone respects, and it works perfectly fine, and it gives me better results. People are more involved in what they do, they love it, and they spend a lot more time doing it. Now, a lot of times I catch up with my, even Lulzim, I catch up with him sometimes late in the night. We work late in the night. Who could do
Yep.
that? Who could do that for you? Who could do that? Why is he doing that? Because he loves what he does. Other people do, not just Lulzim, Justin, Victoria, everyone does the same thing. Because they don't have rules. They love what they do. They're striving for making it better. Now, also, our UI UX team was made just from interns, and they made a really amazing product. They even developed it, made new features, did some research, things that we haven't even thought when we were starting the company. And it's much bigger and much better product than it was before, or than it was as an idea at first. And why do you think is that? It's because my way of managing is I find it effective with the people I work with. Now, some of them might not agree because they believe in paperwork and processing. I'm not saying paperwork is wrong. Paperwork should be done because it keeps track of things, it keeps things organized. Yes, I agree. But it shouldn't be enforced and maintained in at a certain point or a certain level. For example, having 4-ish hours meeting, okay, 4-ish hour meeting, 5-ish hour. What's the point for having daily meetings of 4 hours or 5 hours? What are we discussing? Okay, at Suppleflex, we have a daily stand up, 15 minutes meeting. What is the blockness? What are you working on? Do you need any help? Blah, blah, blah. Boom, everyone goes to work. If you need anything, you write me or any colleague in Slack. We hop on a quick debugging session. Boom, it's debugged. Go on, and things goes like that. Getting managers and hiring managers and people treating well. I'm not generalizing, but there is a big problem with managing positions. People tend to use their hierarchy. I am more of a flexible. I bring new energy because I am young, so my young age helps me do that. So I bring more flexibility, more energy to the meetings. more laughing. Sometimes we even talk about gaming in professional meetings. Yes, we do work. Sometimes we switch to gaming. We do some talk, and then when everyone goes to work, productivity is at its max. Why is that? Because people are loving what they do. They don't think that they are forced to do it. They do it because they love it, and they can stop at any time. So at this point, I think I'm good with my way of working. So yeah, I'm not really afraid of that, and this is my way of doing it. It might work for you, it might not work for you. It's all right. You gotta do your own thing. How do you balance your studies and startups? Oh, Lulzim can tell you a bit about that. Actually, we
Okay.
were in a meeting and I started nose bleeding before because of the stress and the amount of work managing two startups and a lot of teams. It's just hard. Well, I study daytime, I work nighttime. I tend to manage everything in breaks and stuff. I tend to do more messaging, more managing. I try to keep up with my teammates. I use weekends. Um, my experience also helped me a lot, time managing. And actually, I'm not like the other entrepreneurs' stories. I am successful at my studies too. I always have great marks, and also in my startups, I have great time working on them, and we're doing amazing work as far as I know and as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, it's an amazing journey.
If I may interject, you should
Sure,
still take care of your health, of course.
I
Don't
will.
forget.
Don't worry, I will. Okay, cool. And where were we?
I I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Um, what? Okay, I have two more questions in the future plans and aspirations, then we can move the closing thoughts. Guys, this live was intended to be an hour to an hour 20 minutes long. Now we are an hour and 44 minutes. I'm sorry, Luzim, for taking that much time on your end. Really sorry,
I'm
man.
really enjoying it, so
It
no
was
worries.
just an amazing conversation. We'll make up for that later. Monday,
Of course.
Monday, Monday.
Not
Okay. So, what impact do you hope to make through your work at Suppliflex and beyond?
I would like to make the most impactful changes to Suppliflex in the sense that, as Yassine said, he creates this very, very nurturing environment which leads me and motivates me to bring out the best in me, right? To have the most accomplishing results in Suppliflex, and considering that it's in its early stages as a startup, it's very important to build a very strong foundation so then we can just focus on optimizations. But first of all, we should focus on laying everything down right. And regarding Suppliflex, this is what I strive to achieve a very strong foundation, and then just that would come as a result of further optimizations in the future. In general, I would say to just become a better developer in the sense that I I learn more about the tools I work with. I learn how to leverage them in more efficient way, to manage my time better. These are my aspirations, basically.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say the general ones are very unique, but I think it's very important to also maintain a rigorous studies as well, because as you all know, when you are a software engineer, it's that you're always growing, you're always getting education through different sources because technology is changing all the time. So
Yes, it's
it's like
evolving.
right, exactly. So you need to constantly evolve.
Hmm.
That's my aspiration to just become the better version of who I was yesterday.
I agree. And how do you balance ambition with maintaining a healthy, meaningful life outside work?
Mm. Well, I try to take a step back once in a while just to do something that would leave me to have some room to breathe, right? To get me away from the computer, especially because of the fact that both of the jobs that I do are remote. So I do need to get some activity as well. So I do my exercises. Balancing my ambition, in what sense exactly do you mean that?
Like, when you have the ambition to work and, to make great things and stuff, like, how
Hmm.
do you balance that? Like, if you just focus on that, you're always sitting at your desk and working and working and working, but keeping a balance of a healthy, meaningful life. Because if you get too focused on work, you forget who you are and what you
Hmm.
really are as a person, and you forget your environment, your health and stuff.
Of
Um,
course, it's true. It's true, but sometimes I do struggle with balancing the two because I've told you some weekends I've also had to sleep at 4 and then wake up early in the morning because of other demands. But the thing is that what I recommend for other people to do to balance their ambition and their uh, work, like what they do at work, is to take just a step back and see what lies in front of you in the horizon, in the sense that you get a better feel of where you are in the present and where you want to be in the future. And you don't want to be in the future if you're already exhausted as you
e-
are right now. So take time
exactly,
to yourself.
exactly. Actually, Ordy has a question: how Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, considering that he is the founder. Well, actually, when you are a founder and you have other investors with you, that makes a board of members. You may see that in films and movies and stuff. And the board, when they agree on something, they make votes on decisions. Now, if the majority votes for a decision, it gets made. So, for example, if they didn't agree with Steve Jobs being the CEO, like the majority didn't agree for Steve Jobs being the CEO, he is going to be fired as a CEO. And then he will keep his shares, he will keep his founder position, he will keep everything. He will just be resigned from his position as CEO, like his activity as an employee. I guess I just looked it up in internet, but the reason that's written here is that it was due to clashes with the board, attributed to his confrontational management style and perceived interpersonal deficiencies. But he returned in 1997. Um, so yeah, I guess I answered your question. For the closing thoughts, I would like to thank you first for being here, Lizzie. It really means a lot being the first guest here. Thank you for all the insights you've provided and for your experience and for taking the time to to inspire new people to do some career transition to face their fears and land new jobs. Do you have any advice, anything you want to say at the end that you think it's is worth sharing?
I would say that it's very important to love oneself in the sense that not that I or someone else might struggle with self-esteem, rather than loving oneself in the sense that you love another one. You take care of them, you um, make food for them, you make time for them when you love them. You take care of your body as well as your mind, right?
Hmm.
So love yourself in that sense as well, first. And second, I highly suggest you can also hit me up on LinkedIn because I'm quite active there. And if anyone wants something more as a
I
recommendation,
will put
or
his LinkedIn profile in the description. If you need him, you can reach out to him via his social links in the description below after we finish the live.
so if you have any thoughts that you'd like to discuss with me, I'm always open. I
Sure.
like helping other people and I like hearing different perspectives on things.
That's
That's
very
how we
kind of
grow
you.
as people.
That's very kind
Hmm?
of you. That's very kind of you.
Well, thank you.
Thick already said, how many hours do you sleep, you both? Well, I sleep 5 to 6 hours, sometimes three, sometimes two, sometimes eight. Really depends on the day. I'm not sure. It's not
Um,
consistent.
Six, I'd say, ideally speaking.
Yes, ideally six. Six,
Ideally.
seven.
But in a normal day, I don't know what to say. It depends.
Yeah,
We,
really.
I think it's because also of our profession that even if we aren't actively working in front of the screen, we have trouble falling asleep because of the blue light that we get.
Yes. So Tech Ordi, thank you so much. You're welcome, Tech. Feel free to join us in future live streams. Thank you guys for being here, and thanks Lulzim again for
Thank you,
accepting the
everyone.
invite and
Thank
for all
you.
the insights. So I'll leave you guys to it. Have a great and amazing night, and see you later in another podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you, Yasin. Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.